never wanted to have a group practice. As a matter of fact, I never wanted to be a business owner. All I wanted to do was be a sex therapist. I wanted to get up, go to my 9 to 5, collect my check, and get my vacation days. I remember telling my dad, I don't want to be a business owner because it seems like a lot of work. But what I didn't realize was I was going to be doing a lot of work anyway. It was either I was going to be doing the work for someone else or I was going to be doing the work for myself. And it wasn't until the beginning of 2020 when I started feeling these things moving in me, like something has to change, something has to change. And then the world shut down. And when the world shut down, I started to see how things were being handled where I was working. And I realized, yeah, it's time to go. Now, I have introduced you to each one of the clinicians on the team. You've heard their stories, you've heard their specialties, and you've heard how they can support you. But then I realized I never told you my story and how Javery Wellness was created. I told you what this channel was about, but I never explained to you how I came up with the idea to have kind of like a concierge therapy practice for all the things that a high achieving Black woman will go through in her life, from going to college and wanting to excel and have all A's, to going out and getting her big girl job and making her money, to realizing nothing in my life is what I want it to be. It's everything that I should be doing, to creating a family and having a partner, to realizing I've worked really hard and I actually have some fertility issues, to grief and trauma that comes with our lives as Black women. So today in this video, I'm going to tell you how I went from an assistant director at a mental health hospital to a group practice owner that was created solely for you. This is actually the messy truth of how Javery Wellness became what it is today. Like I stated, my dream was to be a sex therapist. I took all the classes, I took all the trainings. I am actually not only a licensed sex therapist, I am a clinical sexologist. I am also a certified sex doula. I am also a sex coach. So I really went all in on the sex things because I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy talking to people about libido, about things that they want from their partners, about like I could go on and on about sex therapy. However, the more I got into talking to people about sex, I had an epiphany. And it was probably a year into working with clients and doing my 9 to 5, full circle, because I do that now. I realized that I never really got to talk about sex. I never really got to talk about sex. So I want you to keep that in the back of your head because that's starting to come up and it's starting to make me feel like, okay, why am I doing this? While I'm doing that, I am also the assistant director at a mental health hospital. I am a very good employee. I do what I need to do because I don't want anybody bothering me. You are probably a really good employee. Your 100% is probably through the roof compared to some of your coworkers or some of your colleagues, whoever, right? I am you. So I decided, no, actually, I did not decide. It was brought to me to run the department. And I knew it was coming because some things were transpiring that I was watching and I knew it was coming. So I went from being a lead case manager in the department to being the interim director to being the assistant director. There is something that happens to your spirit and your soul when you go into management. There's a big difference between just doing your job and being a manager. And you see some things that are behind the scenes. And I did not like what I saw behind the scenes. I did not like how certain people acted. I did not like what was going on behind closed doors in some of the rooms that I was in. Didn't like the conversations. If you know, you know. So that's when I felt it in me that something needed to change. I wanted to do something different. I don't want people telling me what to do. Cool, fine. Then the world shut down March 2020. I'm talking about the world shut down. And I was an essential worker because I was working at a mental health hospital 24 hours. We don't shut down. But the census started to drop. So what that means is we were getting less people in the hospital. So what that meant was, because there's less people in the hospital, we don't really need everybody that's working here. And so then we, had to start doing some things that I didn't like um, with our team. And then the fire started to rise in me. And I was like, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. So the goal was to leave on my birthday. My birthday was October 12th. I was going out of town, and I realized as a manager, I had to give them 30-day notice. And so I said, okay, fine, I'll give you your 30-day notice. I didn't really tell anybody during my birthday because I knew when I came back from vacation, I was going to give my notice. But I did start to clean out my office. And my team started to notice. They would come into the office and be like, oh, your picture is missing. Oh, your office is starting to look like really basic. Like it didn't used to look like this. And I would just look at them and say, yeah, And then I did it. The most terrifying thing ever was to put in that 30-day notice, because what I did know is when you decided to leave, you were judged. I watched it. Like I said, things were going on behind those closed doors, and I knew I was going to be judged for it. And I didn't care, but I also had never been a business owner before. Like, what are we doing? I don't know how to start it. I didn't know where the money was going to come from. I had some stuff stashed to the side I had been saving, and of course my 401k, but I didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew I couldn't do this anymore. I was unsettled. I was unhappy. I had did all the things, and it didn't turn out the way that I thought it was going to turn out. So I'm working my 9 to 5, and I'm also seeing clients in private practice. Now, when the world shut down, I was not fully licensed. However, because everything was closed, I was able to do virtual, which is when I started my private practice, my solo practice. By November 13th, I was gone. I left. I had my last day, and within a week or two, I joined a business coaching program. That in itself created the person that I am today. And it was trial and error. I'm going to do sex therapy. Now, remember, I told you before I left my job, I realized as I was doing sex therapy that we weren't doing a lot of talking about sex. It would be months with couples, with individuals who came in saying that they wanted to talk about that. I realized we're not talking about it. I also realized that the people that were coming to see me were Black women in their late 30s, late 40s, usually coming up on a milestone birthday. So they were coming up on their 40s, they were coming up on 50s, and they were just like me. They had done all the things, they had checked all the boxes, they were very high achieving. They were like you, and they were very unhappy. And so while they were coming to me because something about their sex wasn't working, sex wasn't the problem. And that's when I had my light bulb moment. I was like, oh, we're not talking about sex because sex isn't the problem. Sex is the product of what the actual problem is. And I'm sure you can guess what the problem was. The problem was these women didn't know what they wanted. They had no clue what they wanted. They knew what everyone told them that they wanted. They knew the boxes that they were supposed to check. They knew that they were supposed to take care of everybody. But when they came to me concerning sexual issues, and I say, well, what is it you want? I don't know. I don't know. What I do know is I overthink. I can't get out of my head. I'm tired. This life that I live, it's not satisfying. Like I wake up every day and it's like Groundhog's Day. I am miserable. I'm on autopilot. And that became the pattern. Every time I talked to a client, doesn't matter if it was an individual woman or if it was a couple, she said the exact same thing. And I said, oh, okay, I am on to something. Now, for the first 3 years of being in practice, it was just me. And then I realized, okay, I want to do more. I realized I don't want to do therapy full time because I don't want to just sit here. There are other things that I want to dabble in. So I started talking to people about retreats. I started talking to people about workshops, and I started doing those things. But it's really hard, you will know, when you are the business. So if you are not doing what you need to do, you don't make any money. While I'm trying to figure out that piece of kind of getting a little stagnant and bored with what I was doing, not that I didn't love my clients, but I was a little bored. I was a little bored. I was in this coaching program that was telling me what it would look like to be successful in a certain amount of time. And so I was doing all the things. Again, you will see that this practice was created from me because I am you. I am the high achiever. I am the type A personality. I am in recovery because I've worked a lot on myself. But I was everything that my clients was, still to this day. And I was following this track of what this coach said that success was supposed to look like. And I was going and I was doing the things and I was writing the goals and I did what I was supposed to do because I'm good at that. Like, you give me an outline, you give me a syllabus, I'm like the perfect student. I will do it. But what I realized was I'm not getting the results that you're telling me I'm supposed to get. My bank account does not look like you're telling me it's supposed to look. And I don't understand why. Now, this is during the time during COVID, remember, or during the pandemic, when all of these coaches came out of nowhere and was making all of this money. If you pay attention now, it looks a little different. But then people were making buku money. And I was like, well, do I need to be a business coach? Do I need to be a copywriter? Like, because me being a therapist and focusing on wellness, it's not working. I'm not getting the results, which then triggered severe failure, like the thought of severe failure. And when you're a type A personality, when you're a high achiever and you're a perfectionist, when you are hit with a failure, you take it personal. And I did. Like, I did. I felt my morale starting to go down because I'm helping these women, but I'm also like looking for this outcome that's not happening, despite the fact that I am paying this money to someone and I'm doing exactly what they tell me to do. And I'm watching it happen for other people, which I later realized that they very much highlight the success and they don't really talk about how a good percentage of people aren't going to meet that success. I had to learn that later. But I had to step back. I had to step back from doing all the things. So tell me in the comments if this sounds familiar. I was doing the coaching program. I was reading the business books. I was reading the self-development books. I was listening to the podcast. I was going to the little huddles of people that I had met in the group. When I tell y'all I was doing the things, I was doing the things. I was in it. I was business oriented. And one day I just had to stop because I was feeling so bad about myself and who I was as a business owner and who I was as a person. So I stopped everything. No more coaching. I went back to my therapist. I did the bare minimum. The bare minimum was I showed up for my clients. I tended to my family. I went to therapy. I stopped going out with friends. Like, I went into hermit mode because something had to change. Something wasn't working and it had to change. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to do what I like to do. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I'm going to do the things that are fun. And in that, I realized that what I was being coached on as a business owner, I didn't need all of those things. The amount that I was trying to reach, while it would be great to have, I didn't need it. I didn't need it. And so that's where I started to focus on what it is that I want. How do I want to show up in my business? And that's when I started to flirt a little bit with the idea of growing. What would it look like? Well, let me be 100% honest. What really shifted me from being a solopreneur, a solo private practice, to hiring somebody was I had a client come in who wanted to talk about sex therapy because that's what I did, sex therapy. But she had just had a baby and she had a traumatic experience and could not shake that. So she decided to go back to her maternal health therapist. And I said, huh. And I recommended it. I said, we can't focus on what we need to focus on. The goal right now is not achievable because there's something else that you're dealing with. But I was like, why did I have to send her away? What if I didn't have to send her away? What if there was someone in my practice that I could just do a warm handover? I know this person. I have vetted this person. This person is working under me. I trust this person with my client. What if I just did a warm handover? And that was the seed of Javery Wellness. That's how the group practice started. Then I realized that as a high achieving Black woman, you are going to go through so many versions of yourself. Just like I went through so many versions of myself coming to this place of creating this practice. I went through what success looks like for me. I went through failure. I also went through like a really hard time of making the decision that I wanted to work with women like you, solely women like you. Now, do we work with everyone? Yes, but our messaging, our mission, our values are geared towards helping women like you. And I had to get coached around why that it's okay. Because my fear was, I know that people don't appreciate us. I know how people would be 10 toes down about someone that makes the decision to be exclusively helping Black women. I'm a threat now. Because not only am I one, I have catered my service to Black women. And that frightened me. I didn't want the backlash. And from time to time, it still scares me, especially with everything going on now. It frightens me. But I was reminded by a friend and one of my clinicians that what if you're protected? You've created a space that is just for us, that we need, that we don't have, that we are constantly ridiculed about having and wanting. You will be protected. They will protect that space with everything in them. And I never thought about it that way. And so then I started strategically looking for clinicians to put in certain spots so that no matter what you're going through in your life, there's somebody in the practice, there's somebody at Javery Wellness who can support you. So you're a college student, you're stressing, you're realizing, oh my gosh, I am struggling with failure. I am struggling with time management. I'm struggling with all the things that it means to be a Black student in this world. I have a clinician for that. And now she's grown into this beautiful woman who she is out there. Okay. She may be a CEO. She may be C-suite. She's up there. Okay. And she's realized, okay, I realized that this isn't what I want to do. I'm unhappy. These actually weren't my goals. This is what my parents wanted for me. I have a clinician for her at that stage. Oh, and then she meets her partner, and this is the love of her life. But then she realized there's some communication issues and there's some intimacy issues. And, she doesn't know what it is that she wants, and she doesn't know how to articulate to her partner what she wants. I have a clinician for her in that phase of her life. Okay, and now they're getting married and they've been working so hard and they've decided that they want to have a family. And she realizes, oh my gosh, I am in my late 30s and now I want to have a baby and I have fertility issues. And this is so hard. I have a clinician for her in that phase of her life. And now she's had her children, and or she doesn't have her children, or she doesn't have her partner, right? Because that's also an option. And she's getting later in life and she's going through her changes, and she's like, I'm moody, I'm going through the perimenopause and the menopause and I'm just unhappy and I don't know what to do next. What do I do next? I have a therapist for that. So I created a practice, not just based off of the multiple versions of me that I have been in a short amount of time, but for you, anything that you would need, we are able to provide it for you at Javery Wellness. And I'm in the process of figuring out, okay, well, if that's not our lane, it's time to build relationships with people that I trust. Again, to do a warm handover. Everyone will be vetted. You need a nutritionist? I have a nutritionist for you. You need an OBGYN? I have an OBGYN for you. You need a general practitioner? I know a general practitioner. We are becoming, I won't say we are becoming the concierge group practice for high achieving Black women who struggle with perfectionism, who struggle with high achieving concerns, type A personality, who struggle with the idea of success and what it means for them, who are people pleasers, who are overthinkers, who are realizing everything that I have been doing in my life has been based off of trying to make other people happy. And I am ready to be happy for myself. I am ready to show up for myself. I want what I want. I want the pleasure. I want to embrace self-care. And I just want to rest. Natasha, I need to rest. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. We got you. And now while there's so many other like nuanced things that go in that story, that is the story of Javery Wellness. That is why Javery Wellness was created, why it exists. It exists for you. So that is the end of the story. If you have any questions, definitely drop them in the comment box. Like this video, make sure that you subscribe because all of our content is geared towards you, the things that you are dealing with in today's society, the things that are going on in your mind, how to show up for yourself. This is a labor of love for you. So we want to know what you think. We want to know what it is you want to hear about. You want to hear about boundaries. You want to hear about communication. Maybe you do want to know about libido. Maybe you do want to hear about desires. Whatever it is that you want, let us know, and we're going to provide that for you. And if you know for a fact that you are ready to work with a clinician to take you to that next level, to help you get out of this bubble of I don't know, we are definitely taking clients right now. So we would love to be able to chat with you. So you can head over to javerywellness.com/get started. Get/started and create your intake form, and we will get right back to you and place you with the best therapist for where you're at in this season of your life. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the button so you know that when we have videos coming out. And I love you. Thank you for being here. Bye.